Hey, welcome to day one. I'm really excited to work with you. Once again, my name is Greg Witz. I am the leader and the president and the CEO and the head coach of Witz Education. We are an organization that has been around for the last 25 years, flying around the world, working with all different industries and individuals, developing things like interpersonal skills, self-awareness, managing perceptions, communication skills, emotional intelligence, body language, presentation, conflict management, assertiveness, and a ton more. Besides being the leader of this organization and being exposed to all of this stuff 25 years ago, what I'm really proud of is we're able to take all of this stuff and start to share it out there. You know, we got a great podcast where we try to interview these entrepreneurs, these business leaders, these thought leaders, and what we hear through all of them is the importance of being really skilled when it comes down to connection and communication. You know, if you think about it, these are some of the things that we have never learned. We've never actually learned how to communicate well, and you know, some of the lessons that we've actually been shown haven't been very effective. So what I'm here to share with you and say is there are a number of tools, there are a number of things that we have that can allow us to be way more effective when it comes down to dealing with people, particularly because we deal with, you know, stress. And when dealing with stress, particularly in others and ourselves, we don't communicate well. We don't handle situations well. And once again, what we've done is we've taken really deep-rooted psychological concepts and insights and broken them down to some simplistic tools. Tools that are going to allow us to be way better at parenting, way better at leading a team, way better at being part of that team. You know, sometimes if you think where things go wrong, it has nothing to do with the task, has nothing to do with the topic, has everything to do with the two people or the few people sitting there communicating, right? It's one of the worst things. It's one of the most difficult things that we actually go through. If you think about things like self-awareness, one of the most important things we can actually ever develop. And the truth to self-awareness is difficult. It's not an easy topic. Most of us think self-awareness is this warm, fuzzy thing that we get to look at our attributes and our strengths. You know, I might just define that as narcissism, right? What self-awareness really is looking deep in that mirror and making sure that we are able to take responsibility for how we are dysfunctional. You know, we are dysfunctional at parenting sometimes. We're dysfunctional at being a spouse. We're dysfunctional at leading a team. And the reason for all of this is, again, not because it's your fault, not because you're bad, not because you're this horrible human being, but because you've actually never been taught how to interpersonally handle different situations. Now, I was exposed to this stuff 25 years ago, and I fell ass backwards in it. I didn't even realize what I was learning. It took me years to figure out the gift that was given to me, the insights, the tools, the stuff that we look to neuroscience today in psychology, and stuff, I swear, communication tools and processes, emotional management templates, self-awareness templates, assertiveness tools that have allowed me to be way more intentional and purposeful when it comes down to parenting. Me as a father, you know, I know when I was raised, I didn't have the best role modeling when it came down to communication. I grew up with a very aggressive father, you know, a really brilliant guy and, you know, really intense. And, you know, in some cases tried his best, but, you know, bluntly screwed me up a little. Taught me that when it came down to emotions, the way I dealt with that was to react and become aggressive. The way I should communicate is forcefully and to be abrasive and overpowering. And if I want to be a great business leader, if I want to be a great coach, if I want to be an awesome dad and husband, I better learn how to manage my shit. I better learn how to actually deal with it and start to communicate way differently. Because if not, I am just repeating the past. And the greatest failure for future is doing the same as the past. You know, even when I talk around performance coaching with leaders, I often say to them, you know, the failure that you're focusing on right now is what they've done, where they've been, what's happened. And the greatest tool you can have for coaching someone is focusing on future performance. Where are we going? Start there. In fact, there's a little bonus for you. But back to communication, what we've done is we've packaged this program. And this program is a set of tools. It's an intrapersonal set of tools that allows me to navigate people. And then, again, people are the most difficult thing. I wish people were easier. Marriage would be easy. Jobs would be easy. Talking about money would be easy. Making major decisions in life would be easy. Parenting would be easy. Parenting with another person would be easy. But I got to tell you, besides that, look at the divorce rates. You know, I know just in my own generation, how many of my peer groups or my peers in my community are divorced. divorce with young kids, and all I guarantee you, because when it came down to that argument, when it came down to that fight, when it came down to dealing with the emotions, they just weren't skilled and equipped to communicate well. And that's what this gift is. And besides you being way more effective, this is for you to influence other people. Your impact on other people is the greatest social responsibility you have. The greatest gift, the most important thing you can do for another individual is communicate well to influence them to be better. And that's what this program is about. It's about you being better. It's about you being way more effective. It's having the tools. So as you touch these people in your life, whether it's your children, whether it's peer groups, whether it's friends, family, whether it's aging parents, your ability to leave them better today than they were tomorrow is what it's all about. And I'm here to share that all with you. And we're going to share it with you throughout the week. So I want to jump into a couple pieces right now. I want to talk to you a little bit about self-esteem. I want to talk to you about sort of what we call the circle of wants. It's a cool little simple exercise. And then I'll share with you what we're going to be doing tomorrow. But I look forward to it. I hope you do. The journey's just begun, and let's go. And in fact, today's video has got a great worksheet. In fact, one of the worksheets is a self-esteem assessment. And I think it's an awesome opportunity for you to go and fill that out and get a quick snapshot at where you are sitting in your confidence. Where does your self-esteem sit? And on that note, why is self-esteem important? Because self-esteem is literally the foundation for everything else. It is our ability to have a strong foundation to build interpersonal skills upon. Now, I'm not talking about narcissistic confidence, but I'm talking about making sure that we are self-aware, we have self-belief, we're self-promoting, we understand the things that are creating stress and challenge for us, and we're able to work through those. We're able to adopt practices and principles and habits that allow us to grow. And there's some real simple things. In fact, if I was to share this with you, here are some quick ways for you to ensure that your self-esteem improves or your self-esteem starts to become more confident. Because when you are feeling more confident, when your self-esteem is strong, you know exactly what you can accomplish. Now, one of the major things that becomes a challenge for us with self-esteem is emotions. Our inability to actually manage our emotions. And we know what emotional intelligence says. Emotional intelligence says there's three core aspects that go into it. There's self-awareness. I'm aware of myself, my personality. I've got something called affect regulate, or I could self-regulate. So even though I'm feeling these emotions, I'm able to manage them. Think about that in an aspect of a presentation or a speaker. If you've ever given a presentation or had to get up on stage and that anxiety sort of kicked in, and you start to feel it in your tummy, and the hair on your neck stood up, and you're feeling all nervous and the tension was there, but you pushed through that, right? Because you had to present, you had to deliver. And you did. You probably walked off and you had all this adrenaline going. But that is what I'm talking about, the ability to affect regulate. Or when you're really pissed off. Those moments when you drive a car and that person does the thing in the car that just gets you shooting up through the roof and you want to pull up next to them and give them all sorts of sign language and freak out. But you just don't do that. That's affect regulate. That's self-regulation. Now, what's even more important about that is where that emotion goes. And I'll be sharing some things later on in the videos with you on just how to manage that stuff. The third thing is relationship management. My ability to manage other people's emotions. My ability to deal with that relationship and that individual. If I could do those three things, that's the definition of emotional intelligence. And that's why I'm saying things like emotional management, being able to understand emotions, is a direct tool to improving your self-esteem. Another thing is assertiveness. Self-respect and self-esteem go hand in hand. Your ability to ask for what you want, your ability to express your ideas, your positions, even in the light of conflict, even your ability to not end up behaving in a passive-aggressive way. Because that's what happens when you're not assertive. When you're not assertive, what ends up happening is you end up becoming extremely passive or extremely aggressive. And sometimes, again, passive-aggressive, which is a combination of both. And either one of those behaviors, you're not going to get the success or what you need out of that conversation or relationship. Back to self-awareness. Really important to understand where my strengths are, what my personality is, where these natural skills come from. What are the muscles I need to work right? So for example, I'm more of an aggressive type of personality, which we're going to teach you all about a little later. And one of the habits that's really important for me in managing that is being able to breathe, right? Breathing exercises, because it is through the breath that we could release, or what we joke about, express that emotion, right? So being self-aware and understanding how these things affect you are really important. Now, self-awareness isn't an easy topic. I know that what we hear out there in social media is self-awareness is this wonderful, warm, fuzzy thing. Self-awareness really sucks. It really, really sucks, because you have to look deep. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and see where you are dysfunctional. You know, it's very easy for us to run around to say, look how great I am. In fact, that is the definition of narcissism, right? Self-awareness is being able to look at yourself in the mirror, your behavior, your personality, and taking responsibility for where things don't work. And having tools to actually, do something with that. So there's some real simple things that we can do to help build that self-esteem. The other thing that I think is really, really, really important, right, is making sure you're filling yourself first. In other words, fill that cup. Look after yourself first, right? Take care of number one. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with things that lift you, things that contribute to you succeeding, things that allow you to grow. These are all these little things that kick in, including things like being grateful for your position and your experiences, learning from these failures. Being number one, looking after number one is really important. And there are just some quick ways. So, part of this video is we've got the self-esteem assessment. Do it. It's a quick snapshot. And here's the one thing that you need to understand about self-esteem. Here's how self-esteem works. If this is our self-esteem line here, which says, okay, there's a value to this, which is 0 to 100, right? And if we say there's an optimal range that says, I like to use the analogy of Goldilocks a lot, little too hot, little too cold, just right. Self-esteem kind of works like that as well. Too much of a self-esteem, you're a narcissist. Too low of a self-esteem, you could, be self-deprecating or allow a tremendous amount of your insecurities to take over. So there is a just right. And if that's a scale, and this is your lifeline from the time you're born to the time, unfortunately, you pass away, which hopefully is a very long time from now, you are going to go through a number of experiences and situations. So when you hear those two words, we're going to go through a number of experiences, which are things like environments, right? Our environment contributes a lot to our experience, and situations, fights, conflict, people, situations. As we go through these experiences, and in fact, we could even change the word environment. So if we go through these environments and these situations, as a human being, we are always going to swing above and below. In other words, we're always going to start to feel a little good. We're going to feel a little insecure. I might get more comfortable, less comfortable, but I'm always going to sort of be ebbing and flowing through this. That's very normal. So for the individuals out there that might be thinking along the lines of, oh my gosh, maybe my self-esteem isn't high enough, really ask yourself the question, what's the environment you're living in right now? So how is that contributing in? And what are your current situations you're dealing with? And in other words, if you can deal with those two things, you just might start to find yourself swinging up again. But again, you're always going to swing. Here's the lesson for self-esteem. Not that we shouldn't swing. We got to minimize the swing. We've got to minimize the valley, because some of us swing too low. And when we are down or when we are low, this is when things like anxiety and stress become really difficult to manage. This is where communication is difficult. Asserting yourself is difficult. Emotional intelligence is difficult, right? Managing perceptions is difficult. That's when it's all difficult. So what we want to do is we want to look at what's contributing to that and then start to make some adjustments and changes. In other words, environment, a simple example of that is, let's say you're working at home, we're all working at home now. How have you sort of decorated that room, right? Think about that. Think about light, are you getting enough time outside? And situations, are you having those conversations? In some cases, maybe you've been avoiding that conversation. You've been avoiding that person for such a long time that it's become worse. So that's how self-esteem works. We're always going to swing up and down, and the goal is not to swing, but the goal is to minimize the swing. And we want to look at some areas or some things that are going to allow us to build in that. So the self-esteem assessment is there. Check it out. All right, so I also want to leave you with something today, which is an oldie and it's a goodie, and it's something that's really helped me a lot It's called the circle of wants. And it's a real simple exercise that helps contribute to us defining objectives, because one of the most important things for effective communication, and not just effective communication, for just about everything we do in life, is having that objective. What is the objective of this conversation? What is the objective of this decision? What is the objective I'm going after? And a simple exercise for us to think about, and again, there's a great worksheet which you could use, which is attached to this video, is to define the circle of wants. So what is the circle of wants? Real simple. Everything you want in life, in that relationship, in that situation, and we could break it down for different situations and different areas of your life, is we want to write it down in the circle. And in some cases, in a different color, everything that you don't want, you want to put outside the circle. So let's just do this exercise real quick. Think about your career. Let's start with that one. It's usually an easy one. What I start to find when I work with people, specifically in coaching relationships, is there's always the challenge of career. Am I happy, right? Have I made the right decisions, right? Am I moving forward? Particularly with the younger generations that I work with, it's always about sort of moving ahead. So when I start to talk to them, they start to say things like, well, you know what? I don't want to be stuck in this job forever. You know what? I don't want to be taken advantage of. I don't want to, end up working all these hours and not having a reward at the end. And most people, most individuals speak in the negative. And it's one of the worst habits you can do. Think about the last time you got in an argument with a significant other, and maybe not a spouse, but maybe a friend, or maybe a peer that you work with, or maybe your kids, and you start saying to yourself, you know what, I'm really tired every time they do this, or, I've tried so much and they just don't respond. You're moving into this position of blame. And all we're doing in our brain is literally recreating neurological connections to help us, or not to help us, to actually get us to focus on the negative. And the most important thing you can do is basically create new neurological connections when it comes down to your wants. And the way we do so is by literally writing this down. This is why journaling works. This is why gratitude exercise works. This is why writing things down works. This stuff works. It's based in neuroscience. It's not just this warm, fuzzy stuff. So here's what I'd start to do with my career. Start to say things like, you know what? I really want an opportunity for me to move ahead. I would really want to be recognized for the work that I do. I really want to have a better relationship with my manager. Let's flip that into your spouse, right? I'm really tired of this and this and this happening. Let's flip that into, I want to look for opportunity for us to reconnect. I want to ensure that we spend time talking and making decisions about this. You see how all of a sudden your mindset starts to change. All of a sudden the words that we speak internally, the words that we write down around what we want, is the thing that allows us to move in one direction or the next. This isn't crazy concepts. This is like real basic shit. This is real basic stuff. And what I love about the work that we do, my programs, our team offers, is we've done all that heavy lifting. We've taken the very complicated stuff and we've actually broken it down into some real simple tools. And this is one of them. So you've got a worksheet there. Think about this in a couple different areas. Your career, your relationships, maybe parenting, depends on where you are, your status in life, what you're going after. But do this exercise. I swear to you, if you do this and you look at this list every single day for the next 7 days, I will guarantee you will achieve, let's say, at least 40% of what is in that circle. So, look, I hope this has given you some insight and this helps today. Again, I'm excited to be sharing these videos with you over the next few days. I want to give you some things to immediately action and use, and let's just recap. Here's what we've covered today. 1, the importance of self-esteem and being able to deal with certain things like situations and environment that help us lift or build into that confidence. The other thing is making sure that when we are dealing with life, when we're dealing with people, when we're dealing with communication, when we're dealing with where we want to go, we're thinking about the circle of wants. What do I want in this relationship? What do I want in this conversation? What do I want out of this outcome? What do I want this to turn into? I swear to you, it will change the way you neurologically connect. And that is the secret to all of this. Let's keep strengthening the things that we need to keep strengthening. Let's keep working those muscles, because the more we work these muscles, the better. And here's a bonus rule, by the way. We're not asking you to do a 180. Just do one thing today. And it's called 1 degree of change each and every day. Makes a massive amount of change over a period of time. So if you just do this once a day, you pick one once and you put it in the circle and you do this over several days, all of a sudden you'll start to see what you manifest. Anyway, look, I'm really excited to again be sharing these videos with you. Tomorrow's video, I'm going to be getting into a little more of your personality, which is learning about sort of the structure of the personality, how we ended up becoming who we are, what the different components are of these personalities. So tomorrow's really cool. Definitely come check out tomorrow's video, and we will see you later.